I did not get the chance to discuss Rod's curse with him later that night, nor did I get the chance to speak with Parfait Delora about my suspicions of Sir Outcast. Days go by, but I still find myself overwhelmed by preparations for the ball. Things become more frantic every day, making it difficult for me to have any time to speak with anyone. Eventually, I decide to write a letter containing my suspicions of Sir Outcast. I tell Parfait and Delora that I believe he might be the witch they are looking for. I also add that I believe Fritz might somehow be involved, though my suspicions are not as well founded with him. To make matters worse, he went and disappeared. I've not heard anyone mention his name for a very long time. Oh, where is he? Is he dead? Where is he? That's my first thought. You know, when anyone disappears, I always think they're dead. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I unfortunately pulled from my thoughts when I collided with someone. The linens I had been holding scattered around over the floor. Excuse me, I did not... I look up and my voice trails off when I see who I bumped into. Lost in your thoughts. Sir Mythos looks at me, something veiled in his smiling eyes. I suppose those are the linens the Queen asks for. Yes, please excuse me. I begin gathering up the linens, but as I reach out for one of Sir Mythos picks up. But as I reach out for one, Sir Mythos picks it up first. Allow me to help you. I will be fine. Let me drink some water. There's a lot of reading, you know. And here's Mythos. You know, I don't trust him. I mean, obviously, Lucette even said in the beginning, he doesn't trust him. When the narration tells you not to trust someone, either it's a red herring or they're totally not to be trusted. You know, totally hiding something. Especially, he's always smiling all the time. You know, he's kind of smug looking. He's gotta be related to the witch somehow. He might be even the. I mean, my first guess would probably be him. He's probably the witch. Allcaster's the red herring, but I don't know. That's just my guess. Anyway. But this was partially my fault. Let me assist you. I bite my lip and do not protest as Sir Mythos helps me gather the rest of the linens. I am contemplating my schedule for the rest of the day when I realize that Sir Mythos has been talking. I don't suppose you have any idea who that maid is. Maid? There is cold amusement in Sir Mythos' gaze. Surely, you've heard the rumor of the young prince having been seen with a royal maid somewhere around town? That's us. Rumored has it that Prince Rod has found love among the common folk, much like his royal stepfather has. Rod with a maid? As far as I'm aware, the only maid he's been out in town with has been... I freeze as Sir Mythos straightens, patting down his clothes for dust before holding out some of the linens to me. If it's true, I wish him the best, though I wish he would be more discreet about it. A royal scandal is the last thing we need right now. Look at that smoke face. I mean, come on. He's gotta be like a mastermind of something. I don't know what he's a mastermind of, but like, yeah, I mean, come on. He's so smug. Look at his beauty mark. I shakily take the linens from Sir Mythos as he inclines his head to me. Have a good day, Lucette. I walk to the dining hall in the haze, my mind whirling with the implications of what Sir Mythos just said. I'm sure it was those noblewomen who spread the rumor. Ah, Lucette, thank you for bringing these to me. Just leave them on the table. I curtsy after placing the linens down as commanded. If that's all... Lucette. I straighten at the tone of Ophelia's voice. When I look up and I see that her expression is carefully still. I'm about to ask you something that you might not want to answer, but I very much hope you will. I will answer if I can. Good. Ophelia sighs as she sits down on one of the dining table chairs and folds her hands on her lap. I've been trying to ignore it since palace gossip is mostly false, but I can't help my curiosity. I wanted to ask about your relationship with my son. Are you totally gonna seduce him? And just be a couple and be lovers? I don't know. What? I understand you and Rod were out together in town a few days ago. Do you want to tell me what happened? I mean, it's probably good to be truthful. I don't know. Alright. I mean, the first run, at least in this playthrough, I'm trying not to just try to gun for one particular ending, but I don't know. It's I can't lie to Ophelia. She's kind to us. I don't know. I can't lie to her. She's very nice and everything and humble. I gotta tell the truth. I can't help it. If Ophelia is asking me about these rumors, then I can only imagine what sort of story those women made up. Well, Prince Rod was just on his way somewhere when he chanced upon me. When he saw that I was in trouble with two noble women, he stopped to intervene. That's all. Well, Rod says the same thing. And why did you ask me, Your Majesty? Well, to see what you thought about the situation. I don't think anyone should get a say in what your relationship with Rod is. My relationship with Rod. I like you, Lucette, and I'm certain you're good for Rod. If I had my way, I would let him court you. I feel heat in my cheeks as I trip over my words. Oh, the anime mom, isn't that always the case? The anime mom always tries to get the main characters together. The prince and I are not in a relationship. A member of the royal family cannot end up with a servant. Oh, where there's love, there's hope. Social status shouldn't stop you from being happy, Lucette. Then what about the fact that I'm Rod's stepsister? Not only is it, forbidden in terms of nobility, but also it's kind of incest. But again, we're not blood related, so it's not like it's too bad. I bite down on that statement fiercely. I already know what role I'm playing here, and I cannot break it. Ophelia looks at me with a complicated expression before she sighs. I will not push you on this any further. But be careful, Lucette. Your closeness to my son and daughter has not gone unnoticed. I do not believe in limiting relationships because of one's status, but I understand. I curtsy as I move toward the dining hall's entrance. What did Ophelia mean by that closeness not being unnoticed? Later that day, as I'm waiting outside the throne room for Emmeline to finish one of her classes, two maids walk toward me and stop in front of me. Lucette, isn't it? What is it? I've already finished all my tasks for the day. Oh, I'm sure you have. Probably rushed through all of them so that you could hang around the prince and princess tonight. The head housekeeper's been giving you a lighter load so you can afford the time to play around, I blink at them, unconfused. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. All the servants know what you've been doing. Just because you're Princess Emmeline's personal maid doesn't make you better than the rest of us. I'd be careful not to get too bad for your boost, Lucette. Are you threatening me? What if we are? Well, then I'm gonna fucking punch you all in the faces. Hiya! No, then I'd be very disappointed in you. Princess Emmeline, It always seems to be the case, Generic people just threaten us, and then, the main characters come in and say, hey, no, don't do that. No bullying. Emmeline moves to stand beside me, a disapproving expression on her face. I did not expect such petty cruelty from the two of you. You're all fired. Get wrecked. No, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Your Highness. You really do have a talent for getting yourself into trouble. Rod pauses briefly, his eyes meeting mine for a second before he looks at the maids. Don't you have better things to do than bully my sister's maid? We apologize, Your Highness. We'll be on our way. The two maids run off. Emmeline turns to look at me. Are you okay? Daijoubu? I'm about to answer when I notice that Rod is abruptly walking away from us. I frown at his back. He had only just started being nice to me, and now he's back to acting as if I do not exist. What did I do? Emmeline puts her hands on my back and gently pushes me forward. Well, probably, considering his personality, the reason why he's acting cold again is because we're being bullied, because the reason is because of him, It's the Viorica situation again, where he doesn't want to involve himself in other people if, his reason for, his involvement causes trouble for other people. So that's what he's doing. So yeah, I mean it's kind of easy to discern his behavior from his personality, especially because he told us his backstory and everything, and the reason for his curse. Anyway, you wanted to ask him something, right? I could see it in your eyes. Emmeline smiles as she pushes the door to the throne room open. I have a few more questions to ask my teacher. I'll be a while. But she disappears into the throne room before I can finish. I glance down the hallway Rod just disappeared down, and then back at the throne room. My thoughts twirl together in a vague mess until I make my decision. Wait. At the sound of my approaching footsteps, Rod turns and looks at me. He scowls but does not say anything. Tell him off, or say nothing. You know what? We're angry. The words spill out of me before I can even think of them. What have I done now to make you angry with me? Nothing. He turns away and I glare as I follow close behind him. You expect me to believe that? You can at least look at me when I'm talking to you. I reach out my hand to his elbow and pull him back so he's facing me. Rod! The words die in my throat when I see the expression on his face. His face is red, and he refuses to look me in the eye. Okay. My surprise causes me to release him. Rod quickly turns away and he begins to walk away. Begins to turn around and begins to walk away. I'm left to stare dumbly after him. What is wrong with him? Normally he's not so afraid to speak his mind. I frown as I feel a dull ache throbbing somewhere deep in my chest. What is this? Why do I feel sad? It's totally not love. Normally Rod's distance does not make me feel like this. Yet now, I am really so sad that he's not want to speak with me? I shake my head and take a deep breath to still my mind. It's better not to think about it. Hey, it's the ball. The Cinderella, Cinderella curse, and the ball is happening. I don't know what's gonna happen. It is the day of the ball. I'm waiting for Emmeline to finish her last dance rehearsal. The lesson was over an hour ago, but Emmeline remains here to continue practicing her steps. Meanwhile, I'm preoccupied with the thoughts of Rod's curse. I cannot believe that Rod traded his voice for a title. The reason the king was able to find Ophelia was because of Rod. It is a little difficult to wrap my head around the implications, but one thing bothers me. Rod told me why he has the curse, but he gave no explanations to how to break it. How did it go in the original fairy tale? Technically in the original fairy tale, the Little Mermaid actually freaking dies. I believe so. She dies and then goes to heaven, basically. That's what happens, I think. Or I guess her spirit, gets reincarnated into it's something like that. She kind of dies basically, and then magically happy ending because she, turned into a divine spirit or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what happened. I never actually read it, but I remember reading an article about it or something a long time ago. Emmeline finishes up the last steps of her routine before walking over to me. I hand her the glass of water I was holding for her. Thank you, Lucette. Emmeline must notice my curiosity because she stops to look at me quizzically. Is something the matter? I read a little bit of that fairy tale but never finished it. Well, can you tell me the whole story of the Little Mermaid? The Little Mermaid? Emmeline takes a seat at one of the chairs bordering the throne room and gestures for me to take the one opposite her. Well, telling a fairy tale is always a good way to wind down. Okay, good. Because I want the one way to play this game, is to just, learn about the fairy tales and just look it up online. But maybe, probably the visual novel will just tell us eventually what the story is. So, let's see. Once upon a time, there was a mermaid that fell in love with a handsome prince. One day, When she swam to the surface of the ocean to find him, she saw that the prince was celebrating his birthday in the grandest ship in the kingdom. The little mermaid was captivated by the human party and stayed to watch. Then suddenly a violent storm hit, and the prince was thrown from the ship into the ocean. The little mermaid saved the prince and took him safely to shore, but he could not stay long, or she could not stay long. She eventually had to return to the ocean and leave him on land. This is similar to Viorica's rescue. The little mermaid was so in love with the prince that she went to see a witch, who offered to trade her a potion that would turn her mermaid's tail into legs. They struck a deal. The mermaid would sacrifice her beautiful voice for legs that she could live, so that she could live with the prince on land. So in Rod's case, he traded his voice to become a prince. However, the sea witch gave the little mermaid a warning, and said that if she wasn't able to make the prince fall in love with her, there would be consequences. Consequences? Yes, namely, if the prince fell in love and married someone else, the mermaid's heart would break, and she would dissolve into sea foam. Oh. I cannot help but recoil. My expression must betray my horror because Emmeline quickly shakes her head. There's no need to be worried. Rod has said that his curse is different from the fairy tale, and you believe him. Emmeline shrugs helplessly as she puts down her now empty glass of water. The fairy tale curse always twists the original fairy tale, right? Besides, it's not as if Rod traded his voice for legs, and I've never heard of a cursed person that dies because they cannot break their curse. Okay, so it's not as dire as that. That may be true, but Emmeline does not know what Rod traded his voice for. She does not know what that he did it to become a prince for Viorica. Rod is already hiding things from her. Is it possible that Rod will die the day Viorica marries this Desmond? There's Desmond? Is it Desmond? It says Desmond. Well, that was Desimon. You know, D-E-C-I. It just says Desmond there. Is it like his normal name? I don't know. Later that day, I find Rod in the dining hall. He appears to be inspecting the seating arrangements for the night's banquet. And yeah, if I remember correctly, like her story, whatever, if the prince marries someone else, then, she dies or whatever. For the mermaid anyway. And the prince does actually marry someone else because he gets saved, but then he assumes mistakenly that someone else saved him. Like, I believe either a princess or a priest or something like that. Like someone else saves him or whatever, or he mistakenly thinks that, and then thus he marries someone else, and therefore, the mermaid actually dies. But of course, the mermaid gets a happy ending because she gets reincarnated. I guess Hans, the original author, just like deliberately wanted to add like a happy ending at the end. The Deus Ex Machina, Anyway, later that day, I find Rod in the dining hall. He appears to be inspecting the scenery for the night's banquet. Okay, I already read that. Oops. Deja vu. He glances up briefly to look at me before returning his attention to the placards with the guests' names on them. What is it? I've been looking for you all morning. I am distracted from what I'm about to say when I notice Rod switching the positions of two placards. I frown as I catch the name on one of them. He is moving Viorica's place to the table. Is he trying to make sure she sits as far away from him as possible? Surely you have better things to do than staying here. What happens if you cannot break your curse? Rod's movements stutter before he shakes his head sharply. That is something you do not need to know. That is something you not need to know, eh? Guess what? I'm gonna get angry with you. You got angry with me, because I was, not being careful. You know what? I'm gonna get angry with you. Screw you. Rod's coldness grates at me and I find myself snapping at him. What is wrong with you? Excuse me? All I'm trying to do is help you break your curse. You're acting as if I'm trying to help you will only make things worse. No, I'm only insisting that you do not need your help. That I do not need your help. We are partners, Rod. I know that doesn't even mean much to you, but it means something to me. I intentionally softened my tone, softened my tone when I realized that I've been shouting at him. You should let me help you. What for? Just because you somehow managed to get 2 good deeds on your own doesn't mean you can help me at all, Lucette. Frustration courses through me as I clench my hands into fists. Why must he be so stubborn? So certain that I will not be able to help him at all? Emmeline told me the story of the little mermaid. She said that the little mermaid dies if the prince marries something else, or someone else. stumbling over words. I gotta slow down. Slow down. Rod, when Viorica marries Desamon, will you? My voice trails off when I hear the sound of the door behind us. Is it Ophelia the King? Rod rushes forward and grabs me before I can glance back at the door. Oh, okay, I'm gonna hide. Ow! I become aware of the weight holding me down to the floor. The impact of the ground against my head blurs my vision, making it impossible for me to see what's happening at first. Am I underneath the dining table? I struggle to try and sit up, but the weight pushes down on me again, forcing me to be still. This is getting a little spicy. Right. Rod, why did you push me underneath the table? I'm about to ask him aloud when the sound of footsteps silences me. I cannot help but remember what Sir Mithras was saying about rumors. If Rod and I were seen alone together by the servants, the rumors will get worse. Why is Rod doing this? I stay quiet as the people that enter the dining hall begin to talk. How strange for this place to be empty at this time of day. Okay. There is a pause and then another voice speaks up. Oh, you better have good news for me, Sir Mithras. Okay, Mithras? I assume Alcaster, maybe? They always seem to be together all the time, so I assume it's Alcaster. News for me, Mithras. Sir Alcaster, Sir Mithras. Rod's hands tighten on my shoulders. Everything is as you requested, Sir Alcaster. There should be no issues. There better not be. You've disappointed me before, Mithras. I will be careful not to try to my patience again. Yes, Sir Alcaster. Sir Mithras sounds oddly subservient. But why? The two of them are both ranked equally, and neither of them should have to answer to anyone other than the king. Unless Sir Alcaster truly is the witch and is forcing Sir Mithras to obey him with a spell. Wait a few moments after I leave. We should not be seen together. I do not hear Sir Mithras respond, but I can hear Sir Alcaster leaving the room. Sir Mithras sighs out, but is otherwise silent when he leaves the room after a few moments. I exhale fully as the door finally closes behind Sir Mithras. This is bad. I was so engrossed in Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithras' conversation, I only just realized that Rod is hovering over me. Getting close and personal. I think, it's kind of weird. Sebastian is also here, so when we get intimate, is Sebastian's just gonna like voice all his thoughts. Anyway, hey, are you alright? Are you hurt? You look a little. Rod suddenly pauses as he notices our positions. He stares at me for a few moments, eyes wide. Yes, good old anime, always good, always the anime, any kind of like romance anime. The main characters always end up in awkward positions, Just an easy way to show, like, intimacy. He scrambles out from underneath the dining table, and by the time I do the same, he's standing far away from me, his gaze fixed on the wall. He's bright red. It'd be funny if I weren't sure I was the same color. Rod clears his throat. It seems that Sir Alcaster really is the witch if he has the ability to make Sir Mithras obey him. Lady Parfait should be told immediately. Rod turns on his heel to leave the dining room. Rod, wait. What? This is urgent, Princess. I can't just... When Viorica marries Desamon, will you die? Rod pauses for a moment, but I can tell from his pained expression that he will not speak. We're running out of time, Rod. My eyes slip between Sebi and Rod. What does that mean? Nothing. He turns away from me once again and starts walking. Running away solves nothing, Rod. You're one to talk. Telling me about my curse won't change anything. The outcome will always be the same. Leave it alone, Lucette. It's for the best. I cannot help but get mad at Rod's dismissive tone. I move toward him, frowning. How can you say something like that? You're not the only person that'll be affected if you keep refusing to do anything to break your curse. Can you imagine what your death would do to your sister, to your mother? Losing you would destroy them. Rod's face is suddenly inches away from me. He places his hands to the wall behind me, caging me in. Okay, we're gonna get close and personal again. His face is flushed with anger, but the look in his eyes is tormented. My family has been dealing with the consequences of my actions for the majority of my life. Don't think that I don't know what effect my curse has on the people closest to me. Besides, I don't want to involve you in this too. His voice is a whisper, but I can still hear his voice. Rod. Rod pushes away from me and stalks off as I stare after him. He says that, but then he still does nothing to try and break his curse. Don't understand him at all. What is stopping him? Rod is absent from the palace for the rest of the day, and returns only once the sun has set to prepare for the ball. I've not been able to talk to him since, but I assume that he has been to Martian to tell Delora and Parfait about our suspicions of Sir Alcaster being a witch. Again, I feel like he's a red herring. He's all like aggressive, and obviously an asshole, so I think he's like a witch, being able to hide themselves for all this time. Probably be more subtle than him, I don't know. I hope they come up with an effective plan for dealing with him. The palace is not safe so long as he's here. The ball is just about to start that evening, and I have been asked to make sure that none of the guests are lost and wandering the hallways. I've been walking around for a while, directing any late guesses in the right direction. That should be everyone. As I turned the corner, I noticed two people lingering by a column. Excuse me, the throne room is... I paused when I looked more closely at the two men in front of me. I recognized one of them instantly. Okay. Alcaster and some other guy with a mask. What is Sir Alcaster doing outside the throne room? And who is that man he's with? Lucette. Sir Alcaster gestures me toward him, and I approach warily. This is Varg. He's one of the guests for the ball. Or Varg? Not Varg, Varg. Varg sweeps aside his cape as he bows, and I curtsy and dip my head to hide my expression. I have not heard of a Varg, and why would he be bowing to a mere maid? Also, why is he wearing such an elaborate costume and mask? It's not a mask party or anything. This is not a masquerade ball. If Varg is an acquaintance of Sir Alcaster, there's no telling what or who he truly is. Varg is one of the suitors for Princess Emmeline. Would you please escort him to the throne room? I'll be along shortly. Varg's politeness is even more suspicious. Of course, Sir Alcaster. I meet Varg's gaze briefly and cannot help but frown at the way he's smirking at me. Smirk. This way. Varg and I make our way toward the throne room. I cannot help but feel wary of the fact that he's following behind me where I cannot see him. If the maids are this lovely, the princess must be truly beautiful. Okay. Varg laughs and I grit my teeth at the sound. What? It was meant as a compliment. There's no need to look at me like that. Varg looks at me curiously. Are maids not allowed to speak in this palace? I have nothing to say. Not the most cheerful person on staff, are you? Thankfully, the doors to the throne room appear as soon as we turn the corner, and I do not have to come up with a response to his words. We're here. I gestured toward the throne room and I moved to leave, but Varg's voice stops me. You should, at the very least, escort me inside and introduce me to the princess, don't you think? Is that what a maid should do? Technically, that's the announcer's job. But Varg came so late he probably already missed the introductions. I wouldn't want to think badly of any of those servants at the palace. I take a deep breath to calm myself down before turning toward the doors. Follow me. I can tell the moment I step in the room that the official introductions have already passed. Most of the guests have already begun to mingle and scatter across the throne room as the band sets up. No one notices when I walk into the throne room in front of Varg. I do not trust Varg, not if he's associated with Sir Alcaster. I might have to warn someone about him while he's distracted, but who? Probably Rod. You should probably warn Emmeline too, because he's gonna be your suitor, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe he's here to assassinate the princess? Oh no, if that's the case. My attention is quickly drawn to where Emmeline is moving between groups of people, introducing herself and making light conversation. I know this will be frowned upon, but Emmeline's safety must come first. I make my way quickly to Emmeline and curtsy just off to the side, trying to draw as little attention to myself as possible. Princess Emmeline, may I have a word? Emmeline is clearly shocked at my intrusion, but she masks well. Excuse me, it appears my maid has something for me. I draw her closer to the walls where the crowd blocks us from view. I wasn't expecting you to be here, Lucette. Not that I mind, but won't you get in trouble? There's no time for that. I take her hand in mine and look at her somberly. You have to watch out for this man in the mask. Sir Alcaster brought him to the ball. Why should I be worried then? I cannot exactly tell her that I think he's a witch right now. There are too many people looking. Just, please, be wary of him. I'm sure there's nothing to be worried about from anyone here, Lucette, especially if Sir Alcaster is involved. Sir, on the contrary, if Sir Alcaster is involved, I would also recommend staying your guard, Emmeline. Rod? I turn in shock to see Rod suddenly standing beside me. You should trust Lucette. Excuse me. Yeah, we actually got more points. I jump back at the sound of Varg's voice. Rod takes a step forward and places his hands on my shoulders to steady me. I don't believe we've been introduced. Varg looks at me for a few moments, but I say nothing. He eventually turns to Emmeline, a wolfish smile on his face. My name is Varg, and you must be Princess Emmeline. The tales of your beauty did not do you justice. Emmeline flushes as Varg reaches for her hand. He presses a kiss to the back of it, still grinning. I can feel Rod tense behind me. So hot in here, and yet with my fan on my face. Anyway, may I have the first dance? Emmeline bites down her lower lip as she stares at him. I become acutely aware of just how quiet the throne room has become. She cannot refuse him with so many people watching her. I feel sick, but I cannot bring myself to say anything more as Emmeline puts her hands in Varg's. I accept, Lord Varg. The moment Emmeline makes her way to the center of the dance floor, a man signals to the band and the musicians start playing. This feels wrong. I calmly nod as I watch Varg pull Emmeline closer. At first it was just he and Emmeline dancing, but then other couples gradually trickle in to join them. I do not like this at all. Rod and I watch in silence as the first dance continues on. I know for a fact that Rod must see the dreamy smile on Emmeline's face as certainly as I can. When the music stops, both of us move as one toward Emmeline. Even though the dance is over and Varg has released her, they still dance. They still stand close together in the center of the room. The silence is interrupted when the double doors open and Sir Alcaster, along the two knights, stalk into the center of the room where Emmeline and Varg stand. Oh no! Their arrival causes an uneasy stir in the crowds. The king rises from his throne, eyebrows drawn. Alcaster, is there some kind of disturbance? Alcaster says nothing as the knights stationed around the room approach Emmeline and Varg and stand around them, encircling them. Emmeline's expression shifts from confusion to fear. The crowd becomes even more anxious. Alcaster, explain this. Alcaster briefly glances at him but says nothing. He turns back to his knights and snaps his fingers. The knights pull out their swords and points them at Emmeline. Oh no! I reached out to grab Rob's hand before he can make his way toward her. Rod, it's too dangerous. I know, but Atlas' actions have the potential to put Emmeline in even more danger. Rod's only response is to tighten his grip on my hand, I place my other hand over his to reassure him, and slowly but surely his grip begins to loosen. I turn my gaze back to the king. Alcaster, stop this immediately. What do you think you're doing? Something I should have done a long time ago. I've nothing but loyal to this kingdom, and all I have ever wanted was for Angel to thrive. But ever since the queen died, this kingdom has become weak. It's because you are a weak ruler, Gennaro. What? The people were more productive back then, more disciplined during the late queen's reign. The kingdom has become less productive without fear to drive them. When there's power, there's order. Power is not something that should be needlessly used to control people. It is used to protect them. You, of all people, should know that. Sir Alcaster shakes his head. I, of all people, know that orders makes a high hierarchy stronger. I'm only doing what is necessary. I'm reorganizing the system. Hand over the crown, Gennaro. Sir Alcaster turns his head to Varg, who remains standing beside a scared Emmeline. You know, okay, it's what's it called? Like a military coup, you know, basically. The military is taking over the government. You obey me if you don't want your precious daughter harmed. Please, leave my daughter out of this. Emmeline steps back, her eyes now brimming with tears. Varg, seize the princess. As soon as Alcaster gives the order, Rod immediately lets go of my hand and rushes toward his sister. Rod, no! No! Bad dog! I quickly follow after him, but Rod suddenly stops in his tracks. I bump abruptly into his back. Rod? Varg. Sir Alcaster's booming voice echoes around the room, which has suddenly gone eerily silent. My eyes move to Varg, but he's standing motionless. What is happening? Finally, Varg smirks. He steps to the side, standing in front of Emmeline as if to block her from view. Sir Varg. You must be delusional, old man. I'm not letting you anywhere near the princess. The knight's next movements are a blur as they rush at Sir Alcaster. In a mere moments, he's been disarmed and pinned to the ground. Oh, it was a double backstab. It was a backstab, and then the backstab got backstabbed. Several more knights have also appeared from behind to surround Sir Alcaster. A man emerges from in between the circle of knights. He moves to stand beside Varg and Emmeline. Sir Mithros looks at Sir Alcaster disdainfully. What is the meaning of this, Mithros? We had a deal! The anger is now palpable in Sir Alcaster's flushed face. Did we now? Mithros, explain yourself. Sir Mithros drops to one knee in front of the king. Of course, your majesty. Yeah, maybe he was a good guy after all. I mean, yeah, you know, you never know, like, advisor types, you know, spy master types. They're either on your side or they're gonna backstab you, you never know. But then again, who knows? Maybe this is a triple backstab, I don't know. You never trust him, and it's like, again, beauty mark. I don't know, he has a beauty mark on there, I don't know. It's very, it's very, I don't know what the word is, very noticeable, I guess, you know? A character trait, you could say. He raises his head slightly to look at the king. I have known for a long while that the man you see before you is a traitor. I was even aware of his plans, but I cannot tell you of them without any evidence. 2 of your knights had tried to inform you of these plans before, but we all looked down on them with disdain. Oh, 2 knights, I remember. Yeah, there were 2 knights, right? I can't remember the names, but the, you know, the guy and the, saber, you know, saber face. 2 knights that were, like, expelled from the order, you know. I had to make sure that I did not come unprepared like they did. Julian and Garland, yeah, those 2. What? Both of them knew of Sir Alcaster's plans? Was that the reason why they were dishonorably discharged? False accusations? Okay, interesting. Yeah, interesting we learn all of this. The pieces are starting to be put together. I knew enough of his plan that I could thwart it. This is why I thought the best way to review his dastardly ways was to craft a fake alliance with him. Sir Varg and I have been working together to unravel Alcaster's plans, Your Majesty. Varg is an invaluable accomplice. Wait, so Sir Mistles has been pretending to work with Sir Alcaster this whole time? And so we arrive at the events of tonight. I apologize for undertaking this task without seeking your counsel, Your Majesty. But I could think of no better way to end this madness once and for all. You lying snake! Sir Mistral stands and turns to Alcaster, who gestures at him dismissively. Seize him. The knight's next movements are a blur. The men rush Sir Alcaster all at once. In mere moments, Sir Alcaster has been disarmed and is now pinned to the ground. Oh, isn't Sir Alcaster a witch? Why isn't he not using his magic? Mithros, I am indebted to you for saving us. The whole kingdom is. I only did what was necessary, Your Majesty. The king glances at the knights, then at Sir Alcaster, his gaze steely. Take him away. Sir Alcaster struggles uselessly against the knights as they drag him away. He's nearly out the door when he starts screaming at the king. Gennaro, you are a fool. That man is a witch, a snake. You cannot trust him. Witch, you say? You mean that literally or metaphorically? Because in fact, he might be the witch. No, Alcaster. I was wrong to put my trust in you. Even as Sir Alcaster is pulled from the room, we can hear him babbling in the hallways about a witch. So Sir Alcaster never used any magic to escape. Was he truly not a witch? Are you alright, Princess? I am put away from my thoughts when I hear Varg's voice. He's now trying to comfort a shaken Emmeline. For a few moments he looks away and his eyes meet mine. He smiles, but it is fleeting, and moments later his attention is back on Emmeline. This Varg guy. Who is this Varg guy? He looks familiar. Oh well. The ball comes to an abrupt end after Alcaster's stunt. He's thrown into a jail cell and promised a trial after a few days' time, where he'll be trialed for treason against the kingdom. I still can't believe Sir Alcaster would do something like that, and so brazenly too. I wonder, what happened to Sir Fitzgerald? They say he vanished completely last night. Do you think he was working with his father? The truth is that I have no idea what to think. I had thought that I had everything figured out, but now I become more and more confused by the moment. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I don't know we'll see Fritz ever again. I don't know. He might be dead. Or he might not. I don't know. Fritz was always loyal to a fault, but then... So Alcaster was the same with the king. I have not seen or heard of Fritz for weeks. I cannot really say. Good morning, Princess Emmeline. Sir Varg. Varg was offered a room in the palace for a few days' visit. He's being treated as Sir Mithos' valued guest. I have heard from the other servants that he's Sir Mithos' relative who lives in the neighboring kingdom. I hope that you're feeling well now, Princess. Yes, thank you for your help last night. Is Emmeline blushing? I know I won't be here long, but I do hope to get to know you better during the duration of my stay. I would love that. Then I am looking forward to spending more time with you. Oh, I forget that I meant to be in my mother's room right now. Lucette, Sir Varg, I'll see you both later. I curtsy as Emmeline walks off, leaving me alone with Varg. I cannot help but feel uneasy in his presence. Something about him puts me on edge. He makes me feel uncomfortable. Excuse me, I have errands to attend to. Wait. Before you head out, I have something to give you. Give me. Varg reaches into one of his pockets and withdraws a letter that he holds out to me. Okay, it's a letter. What is this about? Well, I guess you have to open it and find out, princess. My blood turns to ice in my veins. He knows I'm the princess. That can only mean that he's... I have no idea what you're talking about. Excuse me. I'm about to leave when Varg suddenly grabs my wrist. Well, the play is just about to start, princess. You have the responsibility as the main character to perform impeccably until the very end. Otherwise, well... He grins at me. It's the same wolfish smile that he flashed at me during the ball. You might miss out on your fairy tale ending. Wink wink, hint hint. What? Before I can say anything else, I feel a hand grip my other arm. Someone tugs me back and away from Varg, then comes to stand in front of me. Stay away from her. I'm dating her. Get away. Rod? Varg looks at Rod then at me, his smile growing more crooked. What an interesting turn of events. I wonder how this will end for the both of you. Tell me, Lucette, what is he to you? Are we gonna friend zone him? I'm the ellipses. No answer. Be in denial all you want. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to decide who and what you will choose. Who or what to choose. Silence. You're harassing all of our staff members and also my waifu. Of course, I apologize for my rude behavior, Your Highness. You seem to know a lot about us. Are you a... I lower my voice. Are you a witch? You're asking the wrong person, princess. He knows who you really are. I think you two are worrying too much about me. After all, I'm just a pawn in this game. Varg dips an elegant bow and flashes one last smile before walking away. I think I know who he is, but I don't know. We'll see. You know, I'll keep it as a surprise, in case I'm wrong. Are you alright? I am. Thank you for helping me. You know I'd do anything for you. What? 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 Aral shakes his head before stepping away. I would die for you. My social link for you is at max. Anything. For me? Rod coughs. Pulling me from that. I mean, nothing. It is possible that he's a witch and that he's working with other witches, but we have no evidence to prove it. Until we figure out what's going on, we need to be wary of him. I know. Rod smiles at me gently. The look makes my heart at once painfully in my chest. Doki doki. Stop staring at me like that. Rod looks away, his cheeks tinge red. I feel my own cheeks warm at the sight. I wasn't staring at all. Both of you are hopeless. Shut up, Sebi. Shut up. Oh, sorry. Rod gives me one last look before finally turning and walking away. I place my hand over my chest, where I can still hear my thudding heartbeat. This feeling. If it is what I think it is, then I have no right to feel that way about him. He's my stepbrother. That's like foreboding. I shake my head to clear my thought, then glance down the letter that Varg just delivered to me. There's only one sentence written on it. Come to the throne room alone tonight. I don't know if we should do that, but I mean, if you want the story to progress, I guess we have no choice. I guess so. The throne was empty when I arrived, I mean, we're gonna die or something? Are we gonna no? I can only hope that it's not some sort of trap. I mean, usually it's not a trap. In any kind of even not even anime, but in any kind of media, when there's ominous note, and the character is told to go to this place, and they wonder if it's not a trap. It's actually not a trap, usually, But then who knows? Sometimes in visual novels, I remember actually in Fate's Day Night, sometimes it is a trap. Because there's the possibilities of getting bad ends. But oh well, we don't really have a choice, so we're just gonna go into this throne room totally alone, or we can totally be assassinated somehow. I don't know. I could only hope that this is not some sort of trap. Soon after I enter, the door squeaks open and a familiar face enters the room. Sir Mythos? Sir Mythos walks towards me. When he's close enough, he drops to one knee and bows. I frown as I take a step back from him. My princess, do not be alarmed. I know of your true identity. Sir Mythos flashes at me a wide smile that causes me a shudder and to run down my spine. Oh yeah, if I remember correctly, I mean he's probably a witch. I mean, at this point we know he's probably a witch. And I remember in the beginning, near the prologue, we were told that he always seems to be enamored by our mother, right? So in fact, he is probably loyal to us, but loyal to us in so much as loyal to the queen, right? The old queen. So that's probably what he's doing as a motive, right? To put us in power and to succeed the queen. And that's why he's at least, technically our ally. But, his mind might change when, if we tell him that we don't want that responsibility. I don't know. You know who I am. And that means you are. I take another step back as the blood drains from my face. Sir Mythos' smile only widens in my reaction. I'll say for you, yes, I am a witch. If you're a witch, then Sir Alcaster is a mere human, a fool one. And Varg? Oh, nothing but my personal errand boy. A thought suddenly occurs to me. If Sir Alcaster was plotting against the kingdom, then did Sir Mythos also punish Fritz somehow? What about Fritz? Was he a part of Sir Alcaster's plans? The night, and to avoid confusing you, let us just say that the situation surrounding him is too complicated to adequately explain. I command you to answer my question, Sir Mythos. Was Fritz a part of this? If it makes you feel any better, he refused to be a part of this. He refused. Does that mean he was not part of the plans, or just that he was unwillingly forced to participate in them? I'm certain that Sir Alcaster would not be happy that his own son was disobeying him. He either forced him to help or assigned him outside of the palace. But if Fritz knew of Sir Alcaster's plans, why did he not warn anyone about them? Was he working with Sir Mythos as well? More questions swirl in my head, but none of them have answers. When this is over, I will personally ask Fritz about this. Once I can locate him, 6 feet under, as a corpse, I shake my thoughts away and bring my attention back to Sir Mythos. Why bother with this review? What do you hope to gain from it? Well, you see, I wanted to let the player know that I'm totally the mastermind behind this and stuff. Before we start our conversation. Whoa! Sir Mythos waves his hand, conjuring a faint green glow that envelops the whole room. Just in case someone decides to eavesdrop, I wouldn't want any of your witch friends listening in on us. Yes, I am aware that one of them has been snooping around the palace these past few months. Their snooping has made it more difficult to move around without exposing myself. Sir Mythos clicks his tongue in annoyance. Such a nuisance. He's referring to Laura. She and Parfait warned me about that. There was a witch in the palace. Is Sir Mythos truly that witch? I mean, he did just do magic, so... I never really trusted them, not even when I was a princess. But now that he has revealed himself as a witch, I need to know what he plans on doing. You knew that I was a princess this entire time. Did you never offer me any assistance? If I had, Alcaster would have targeted you as well. What? Alcaster wanted to dispose of the royal family. If he had known you were the princess, he would have been after you too. It would have been easier with no one remembering you as the princess. But unfortunately, Fritz told his father about you, thinking that Alcaster might be able to help and protect you, and it didn't help that Varg confirmed it. Your mother would have been happy with me your mother wouldn't have been happy with me if I put you in harm's way. That is why I had to pretend not to know you, in order to protect you. Sir Mythos is silent for a few moments before he speaks again. Revealing myself to be a witch was necessary. I had to make myself appear useful to Alcaster somehow after all. Then of course I learned of his foolish plans to steal the crown and decided to thwart them. though not before I stole something from Alcaster first. I played him like a damn fiddle, like the fool like he was. I played him like the fool that he was. I told him I would aid him with my magic so long as he gave me the knight's protection. Using magic is impossible in this place, so having the knights to back me up was crucial. The knights? What does he need the knight's protection for? What are his plans? Sir Mythos starts pacing the room, his expression still calm. I found out that he planned to dispose of me after he attained what he needed, so I disposed of him first. Alcaster might have been able to convince most of the knights to aid him by promising them promotions, but, well, my magic is far more convincing. Sir Mythos stops in front of me, his deadpan expression transforming into a smile. For now, let us cease speaking of my plans. The minute Alcaster's plans were thwarted, I knew I had to contact you directly. I am happy to see you in the palace, Your Highness. Although, we really need to get you out of those clothes soon. A maid's clothing does not befit a princess like yourself. That does not matter. My priority right now is to break my curse. Ah, of course. They must truly have been frightened to feel the need to curse you. I feel an uncomfortable tug in my heart. To think the Lucius Bearer would actually allow a witch to curse you. Sir Mythos shakes his head, disgust written on his features. When you suddenly disappeared that day, it was as if all traces of your existence had vanished. I searched for you endlessly, Princess. When you first appeared here in the palace, I did not recognize you immediately, but I felt a touch of magic in you and investigated. My curiosity is what prompted me to investigate you further. When I tried hard enough, I found that I could see through the glamour that had been cast on you. So Sir Mythos truly was the witch Parfait was referring to when she mentioned someone seeing through the glamour. Imagine my surprise when I found that it was actually you. That fairy bearer has been nothing but a nuisance to us witches. First she betrayed your mother, then she betrayed you before she had even met you. But Mother, she was the Tenebrarum bearer corrupted by darkness. Parfait only did what she had to. Sir Mythos looks at me, clearly surprised. What lies have been those people whispering in your ear? Everything the Queen did, she did for us witches, to protect us from the wicked humans who destroyed our kind. It is clear to me where Sir Mythos' alliances lie. Sir Mythos sighs, runs a hand through his hair, and then continues speaking. On your 18th birthday, you will follow her footsteps. You will make this kingdom a place for all witches to prosper. I am nothing like her. I refuse to make people suffer to fuel the crystal. Uh-oh, you shouldn't tell that to the yandere. I feel like he's very yandere for a mother, even after she's dead. So, like, he's totally, like, obsessed with us as, like, a, you know, like a queen and everything. So, I don't know if we should tell him that. It's probably gonna go psycho. We did see him go psycho a little bit back there. I never bore witness to the suffering that people had to go through during my mother's reign, but the stories are enough to reveal her true nature to me. It was hard to believe at first, but those people did not have any reason to lie to a servant like myself. They have nothing to gain from it. I finally understand why the hatred people had for me ran so deep, even when I did nothing to them. It was because I was the witch's daughter. Your mother wouldn't be so happy to hear you say that. Let me assure you that this is not the destiny you can run from, dear princess. I will not let destiny take control of my life. I feign tiredness by releasing a long yawn. I am sorry for cutting you short, Sir Mythos, but please excuse me. I'm getting tired. I'm about to walk past Sir Mythos when he starts speaking again, his voice a low whisper. I noticed that you have gotten closer to the family you so despised before, the prince included. I narrow my eyes at him. You care about him, don't you? You shouldn't let people know your weaknesses, you know, your emotional connections to, like, especially this guy, who will probably exploit them. I must confess that this surprises me, Princess. Such a relationship would certainly be a scandal. Even if you two are not blood-related, he is still your stepbrother. Whatever will your dear father say about this? I clench my fists. He has no right to lecture me. I already know that these feelings are wrong. I know that I cannot have them. Forbidden love. Oh. I assure you there's nothing between the both of us. Oh, is that so? Are those lies you utter just to convince yourself? This man is beginning to try my patience. Allow me to share a little secret with you, Princess. I'm not interested. I head for the door and reach for the knob. Oh, but I think it is something you'll be most curious about. I do, after all, know the consequences of the prince failing to break his curse. I also happen to know that someone special to him is getting married tomorrow. My hand freezes. How do you know about all this? Are you the witch that gave him the curse? I know all of the happenings around this place. That is my job, Princess. Or maybe not. Maybe he just knows. I'm not sure. Either he's the one that gave him the curse, but then again, if he did, then Rod would know immediately. Unless maybe he put glamour on himself so that he wouldn't notice who the witch is. I don't know. He just knows. That's all that's important, I guess. He just knows. He knows. Now tell me, do you know the ending of the fairy tale The Little Mermaid? My blood runs cold when I remember what Emmeline told me about that fairy tale. If the princess fell in love and married someone else, the Little Mermaid's heart would break and she would dissolve into sea foam. Oh no. I conducted my own investigation and actually met the witch who bestowed the curse on the prince. Okay, that's what he did. In meeting her, I found out everything that there is to know about. I turned to regard Mithros with a frown. Oh, it seems I've finally gotten your attention. What do you plan on doing to Rod? Sir Mithros shrugs. To him? Nothing really. I was merely curious. I wanted to know what you saw in him. What do you know about his curse? It stays true to the fairy tale. Only in this case, the prince gives up his voice for a title. Still, it would end the same way. The girl will fall in love with someone else despite his sacrifice. You mean, on his beloved's wedding day, the prince will die? I thought you might have reached the same conclusion. I need to sit in a better position. Tragic, don't you think? I had the same thought, but is Rod truly going to die? So the reason Rod gave up breaking his curse was because he knew that Viorica would never love him back. He knew that he was going to die the moment Viorica married. Dread begins to wash over me. Why not ask him yourself? As if orchestrated by magic, the double doors open and Rod steps inside. When he sees me, his expression relaxes. I've been looking all over for you. I wanted to speak with you about this discussion with Lady Parfait. I turn around to face Sir Mithros once again, but to my surprise, he's already gone. Oh, ninja vanish! When did Sir Mithros leave? Oh, accidentally went back. Lucette, is something wrong? Was Sir Mithros really speaking the truth? Well, I mean, we can ask him or confront him. I mean, both of these things are pretty much the same, you know? We're trying to get the truth out of him. I guess we're just choosing our method, I guess.